Hi, good evening. My name is Amarendran and I'm the director of this play, Tartuffe, written by Molière, French dramatist. He's written a lot of plays. We did a play called The Doctor in Spite of Himself last year, and this year we're doing this play to celebrate Molière's centenary. This play deals with religious hypocrisy and fake godmen. It's a comedy which has been adapted, which has been translated by several writers in English, and we took these different translations in prose and in verse, and we have adapted it and made it a little simple. And I've added a few local jokes and try to make it more easier for the audience.
Can't be put! Let's leave this place!
I can't keep up. You move at such a pace.
Peace, daughter-in-law. It's... you no need to show me out. It's not your manners I'm concerned about.
We merely pay you the respect we owe. Why this hurry, mother-in-law? Must you go?
I must! I'm appalled by the house and all those who are in it. I give advice, but no one wants to take it. No one listens to me even for a minute. Children, I leave this place much vexed in spirit. I can't stay here longer than a minute. You all just keep babbling on and on. No wonder they call this the Tower of Babylon.
But if you'd only listen.
You lady. You talk too much. And I'm afraid you're much too saucy to be a lady's maid.
But why don't you?
You! My grandson, you grow foolish every day. If I've said it 100 times, I've said it once, that if you keep going on this path that you started, you'll leave your father broken-hearted.
I think what my brother...
You dear girl. You seem so pure, so shy, so innocent, so demure. But you know what they say about still waters? Have pity, parents with secretive daughters.
Please, mother, please listen.
Oh, you girl. You are far too bad. Their late mother was much better than you. And I'm sad. I'm distressed to find you so elaborately dressed. When it's one's husband that one aims to please, I don't see any need for such fripperies.
Madame, why don't you?
You, sir, a brother, I love you dearly. But you, if I were in a husband's place as spouse, I would ask you not to step into this house.
Your man, Tartuffe, is full of holy speeches.
And he practices precisely what he preaches. He's a fine man, and you all should listen to him, as my son would have you do.
Oh, Grandma, do you really mean to suggest that him being here is for the best? Have you been completely so taken in that you believe enjoying life is but a sin?
To hear him talk, and he talks all the time. You think there's nothing we can do that's not a crime. He criticizes everything, your dear Tartuffe.
What he reproves deserves reproof. And I would like to have him stay here as your guide under this roof.
No, grandmother. I could never take to such a rascal even for my father's sake. That's how I feel, and I shall not dissemble. His every action makes me seethe and tremble with helpless anger, and I have no doubt that he and I will shortly have it out.
Surely, it is a shame and a disgrace to see this man usurp our master's place. To see this beggar, who when first he came, had not a shoe or shoelace to his name, so far forget himself that he behaves as if this house were his and we his slaves.
Nonsense. Mark my words. You have to listen to him because he's God's man.
He passes for a saint in your fantasy, but I swear he acts with hypocrisy.
Rubbish! You all regard him with distaste and fear because you don't want to listen to what he has to say. He condemns your sins and your moral flaws and humbly strives to further heaven's laws.
If sin is all that bothers him, why is it that he gets so upset when folks drop in to visit? Is heaven so outraged by a social call that he must prophesy against us all? I'll tell you what I think. If you ask me, he's jealous of my mistress's company.
Bakwas! He's not alone in complaining, my dear. The whole neighborhood is upset, I hear. With all these olas that come and go. With all those dunzo delivery boys loitering about.
Let them talk. They'll talk in any case. Madame, the world would be a joyless place if, fearing what malicious tongues would say, we locked our doors and kept our friends away. One can't fight slander, it's a losing battle. Let's instead ignore their tittle-tattle.
If there is talk against us, I know the source. It's Gangubai and her husband Deepchand, of course. Those who have the greatest cause for guilt and shame are the quickest to besmirch a neighbor's name. When there is a chance for libel, they never miss it. When something can be made to seem illicit, they're off at once to spread the joyous news, adding to fact whatever fantasies they choose. By talking up a neighbor's indiscretions, they seek to camouflage their own transgressions.
Rubbish! No one's more virtuous and devout than dear Gangubai, and I hear that she complains about the way you guys are entertaining here.
Oh, she's strict, devout, and has no taint of worldliness. In short, she seems a saint. But it was time that taught her that disguise. She is thus because she cannot be otherwise. When she was young, she enjoyed all that banging. But now that she's old and everything is hanging, she wears a veil of virtue to conceal her bankrupt beauty and lost appeal.
You have to listen to Tartuffe and let him stay under this roof as your guide. Enough! I cannot take this anymore. What are you laughing for? Am I joking? Go find some silly fellows to laugh some more. Enough! Don't stand there gaping into space. Let's leave this place. I'll give you a slap. Your silly face. Chal, Mary Hapsting. Who are these people here? Dancer boys?
I think I'll stay behind. I want no further pieces of her mind. My God, how that old lady...
If only she'd heard you say that. She'd say, thank you for the compliment, but that she's not old enough to deserve it.
What a scene she made and what a din. And how that man Tartuffe has taken her in.
No, but her son Orgon is even worse deceived. His folly must be seen to be believed. In troubled times, he played an able part and served the government with a wise and loyal heart. But he's quite lost his senses since he fell beneath Tartuffe's infatuating spell. He calls him his brother, loves him as his life, prefers him to mother, child and wife. In him and him alone he will confide. He's made him his confessor and his guide. He pets and pampers him with love more tender than any pretty mistress can engender. Stuffs him with dainties till his guts distend, and when he belches, says, God bless you, friend. Tartuffe, much pleased to find so easy a victim, has in 100 ways beguiled and tricked him, milked him of his money, and with his permission, established here a sort of inquisition. Even his servant, Laurent, dares to give us advice on how to live. He sermonizes us in thundering tones, confiscates our ribbons and colognes. Just last week, Tartuffe called me a crook because I placed a peacock feather in the holy book. He said it was a sin to juxtapose unholy vanities and holy prose.
You did well not to follow. She stood at the door and said verbatim all she said before. I saw my husband coming. I think it'd be best if I go upstairs and take a little rest.
Go on, I'll intercept him, I don't mind. Take a moment, I'll wait behind.
Ask him about Valaire's marriage to Marianne. Tartuffe will oppose her marriage if he can. He's been urging father to withdraw his blessing. As you will know, I would find it most distressing. Valaire doesn't marry Marianne, my sis. I shall remain a bachelor, oblivious to connubial bliss.
Shh, shh. Here comes your father.
Hey, sir. Kisses.
Doing good, brother. And you? I trust you had a vigorous retreat.
Doreen, 1 second, brother, please. Let me set my heart at ease and soothe my fears concerning the things that have happened here. Refresh me on the latest, would you, dear? What did I miss while I was gone away from here?
2 days ago, your wife had a fever and a headache that just wouldn't leave her.
Ah. And Tartuffe?
Tartuffe, he's in splendid shape, fat and flabby like a well-fed ape.
Poor fellow.
Last night, your wife was unable to take a single bite at the dinner table. Her fever became extremely violent.
Ah. And Tartuffe?
He was less than silent. Having raided our fridge and eaten everything in it like a piggy, he wasn't satisfied and made us order momos for him on Swiggy.
Poor fellow.
Oh, Madame's pains continued strong. She tossed in bed all night long. We waited by her side at the bed. The doctor thought she might have to be bled.
Ah. And Tartuffe?
Having eaten his full, he rose, found his bedroom, but led by his nose, got into his warm bed and snored away in perfect peace until the break of day.
Poor fellow.
In short, both are doing well. I will tell your wife that you expressed keen sympathy and anxious interest.
He's making fun of you to your face, brother. And though I don't intend to be a bother, I must admit there is some justice to what she says. You've taken this man in, you've given him food, shelter, clothing and care, and now you have to go so far.
ஐயோ அவரை பத்தி உங்களுக்கு என்ன தெரியும்?
சொல்லுங்க சொன்னாதானே புரியும்.
When you meet him, you two will be like brothers. There has been no loftier soul since time began. He's a man. I've been reborn because of his preaching. He teaches me not to love anything. He's freed me from all passions from life. And I could watch brother, mother, children, wife drop dead without caring so much as that.
Hearing you speak, I can only sigh.
You should have known Tartuffe when we first met. You too would find your mind steadfastly set. I noticed first this pious man at the house of prayer. He drew the eyes of all the congregation with fervor in his righteous supplication. Having heard about his poverty, I made a donation, but he returned a portion. It's too much, he said. You're too generous. I don't merit your pity and kindness. But when I tried to return it back, he gave it in alms to the poor right there. At length, heaven prompted me to take him in, to live with us and save our souls. He guides our lives. And to protect my honor, stays with my wife and sees to it that nobody disturbs her.
My goodness, brother. I think you're crazy. Or are you mocking me with sheer lunacy?
You disappoint me, sir. I thought you would comprehend the heights my soul aspires, and not fallen with persecutors and liars, those who conspire, defiling holy men.
I know what I'm saying. God sees my heart. I will not be taken in by this villain's dark art. What now? Will you not make any distinction between hypocrisy and true devotion? Do you wish to equate artifice with sincerity? It's to confound appearance and reality.
Without doubt, you're a renowned teacher. All the world's knowledge is in your coffer.
Brother, I do not pretend to be a sage, nor do I have all the wisdom of the age. But there is one insight I would dare to claim. I know that true and false are not the same.
Dear brother-in-law, பேசி முடிச்சிட்டீங்களா?
அப்படின்னு தான் நினைக்கிறேன்.
அப்போ நான் ஃபேஸ் வாஷ் பண்ணிட்டு வந்துடுறேன்.
Amma, there's one more matter. You've given Valère your word that he'll be Marianne's spouse.
Yes.
And you've announced this fact in your house.
Wait.
You've now postponed it, is it true?
Maybe.
The match no longer pleases you?
Did I say that?
Do you mean to go back on your word?
நான் அப்படியே சொன்னேன்.
Has anything happened which might entitle you to break your pledge?
Perhaps.
Why must you hem and haw and hedge? Valère sent me here to ask you, what should I tell him?
It's all up to him.
What about you? What are your plans?
It's God's wishes, not man's.
Come brother, don't talk rot. You've given Valère your word. Will you keep it or not?
ரொம்ப டயர்டா இருக்கு. நான் போய் தூங்குறேன்.
I fear his promise will be withdrawn. I'd better report what's going on.
Marianne,
Yes, Father?
come here. We need to speak privately.
Father, what is that you seek?
I'm seeing if anyone can overhear us. This is perfect for such a purpose. Now there, that's okay. Marianne, I find that you're endowed with a heart that's sweet and kind, and you will always be most dear to me.
I'm so grateful for the love you bestow on me.
Well said, my child. And you can repay me if in all things you cheerfully obey me.
Obeying you, Father, is what I do best.
Good, good. Now, what do you think of Tartuffe, our guest?
Who, me?
Yes, you. Think well before you reply.
Mon dear, the more what to say, and I'll comply.
That's sensibly spoken. Now tell me, girl, his merit shines like a gleaming pearl, that he warms your heart, and that you'll rejoice to have him be your husband by my choice. Huh?
Yeah?
What's that?
Yes.
Yes?
No.
What? Yes, no, yes, no.
Ayo, acha.
Acha. So you won't stick to one language?
Of whom, sir, must I say that I'm fond of him, and would rejoice in being his wife, if that should be your choice?
Tartuffe.
No, Father, none of that is true. Why ask me to invent something untrue?
But my dear, I wish it to be true. And it should be enough that I have chosen for you.
What? Father,
Yes, I intend, you see, to unite in marriage Tartuffe and my family. He will be your husband. I do declare it. It's a father's privilege. What are you laughing at? You must be eaten with curiosity to eavesdrop on my daughter and me.
There's lately been a rumor going about, a chance remark or a hunch, no doubt, that you plan to wear Tartuffe to Marianne. Why feed that dirty tiger this Puliman?
Why? Is the idea itself so very absurd?
I wouldn't believe it, sir, if you gave me your word.
I will make you believe it by and by.
Yes, you're going to tell us a bald-faced lie.
I'm only seeing what you'll soon see.
Nonsense.
What I say, my dear, will soon be.
Go on, don't believe him. It's too bizarre. He's only joking.
Damn you, you shrew!
Well, I believe you, then the worse for you. Tell me, monsieur, how can you pose as one who's sage, gravely stroking your bearded visage, and still be fool enough to
Hear
wish...
me! I've given you too much liberty. It no longer gives me any pleasure.
Oh, monsieur, please, keep your anger within measure. Are you mocking us with this silly plot? Your daughter is no match for a bigot. He has other schemes to worry about. And with all your wealth, what benefit would it bring to pick a bum?
Shh! Say here's nothing. And for that reason, you should revere him the more. He is a holy man who is nobly poor, and it raises him up to greater grandeur. And that he has renounced all his wealth by his pure detachment from the merely temporal and his powerful love for the eternal. But my assistants may give him the means to restore his lands and remove his lien. He is a man of repute in the land of his birth, and even as he is a man of worth.
Yes, so he tells us. But his vanity does not sit so well with true piety. A man born of a simple sanctity needn't vaunt his name nor his dignity. And the humility born of devotion suffers beneath such blatant ambition. What good is his pride? But perhaps I digress. Let's speak of the man, not his nobleness. Can you bestow, without feeling like a rat, a girl like this on a man like that? And can you not think of propriety and foresee the end with anxiety? For if a bridegroom is not to one's taste, it's hardly an inducement to remain chaste. And even the best laid plans for an honest life are somewhat easier for the best laid wife. And many a man with a horned head has driven his wife to another man's bed. It is entirely too much to ask that a wife remain faithful to a flabby ass. And a man who gives his daughter to a man she hates is guilty before God for all her mistakes. Consider the perils you expose yourself to.
So the servant girl presumes to save my soul.
You could do well to ponder what I've said.
Enough. Dear daughter, we will disregard this dunderhead. Just trust your father's judgment. Oh well, I'm aware that I once promised you to young Valet, but I hear he likes to gamble, which greatly shocks me. And what's more, his visits to the church, I note, are very few.
Must he go at the same time as you and kneel beside you merely to be seen?
I can dispense with such remarks, Doreen. Tartuffe is sure of heaven's blessings, and that's the only treasure worth possessing.
She'll only make him a cuckold, just wait and see.
What language!
He looks just like a caricature, monsieur, and his fate will make him an ass, no matter how much virtue your daughter has.
Don't interrupt me and remember your place and quit sticking your nose up into my face.
But it's for your own sake that I interfere.
So kind, but hold your tongue, do you hear?
But if I didn't like you?
I don't need liking.
But I like you, sir, despite your griping.
Ah,
But I can't bear it for your honour's sake to see you make this ludicrous mistake.
can't you keep quiet?
If I didn't protest this unholy alliance, my conscience wouldn't rest.
Shut up, you wiper with your brazen trades.
What? Have you lost your temper? A pious man like you?
Yes, your twaddle has made me quite high-strung, and I insist that you hold your tongue.
Well, I'll be quiet, but I will think in silence nonetheless.
Think all you want to, but be guard of that saucy tongue of yours, or beware. Now, daughter, I weighed everything quite maturely.
Oh, it drives me wild that I cannot speak.
Tartuffe is no young dandy, but his person
Is as sweet as candy.
is such that even if you don't care for his other merits,
Oh, they'll make a lovely pair. But I would say most assuredly, no man would wed me with impunity. And I would prove right after the wedding that a wife's vengeance lies in the bedding.
so you refuse to obey me. Is that true?
What's your problem, sir? I wasn't speaking to you.
Then what are you doing?
Speaking to myself, that's all.
Very well. One more bit of impudence and gall, and I will give her a good slap on her face. Now, daughter, you must accept, and with good grace, the husband that I've selected. The wedding date. Why don't you speak for yourself?
I have nothing to say to me.
One little word.
No, thank you, sir. I'll pass.
Come, speak. I'm waiting.
I'll not be such an ass.
In short, dear daughter, I mean to be obeyed. You shall bow down to the sound choice I made.
I'd thumb my nose at such a silly spouse.
Ah! Daughter, your maid is a thorough pest. She makes me sinfully annoyed and nettled. I can't speak no more. My nerves are too unsettled. She's upset me with her insolent talk that I will calm myself by going for a walk.
What? Have you lost your tongue, girl? Must I play your part and say the lines you ought to say? Faced with a fate so hideous and absurd, can you not utter one descending word?
What good would it do? A father's power is great.
Come now, Marianne, resist him before it's too late.
But how?
Tell him that you cannot marry at a father's whim, that you marry for yourself, not him. That since you are the one who is to be the bride, it's you, not he, who must be satisfied. And if he finds his Tartuffe so sublime, he is free to marry him at any time.
A father, I'm sure, has absolute power. Before him, I can only cringe and cower.
Come now, Marianne, resist him, won't you? Well, has asked your hand. Do you love him or don't you?
How unjust of you! What do you mean by asking such a question, dear Doreen? You know the depth of my affection for him. Haven't I told you 100 times how I adore him?
How do I know that your heart echoes your voice and this love you profess is truly your own choice?
Your doubts, Doreen, wrong me greatly. My real feelings are shown far too plainly.
You love him then?
Yes, with the strongest passion.
And he loves you with the same fashion?
I think so.
And both of you burn equally for this union in marriage?
Certainly.
What of Tartuffe then? What of your father's plan?
I'll kill myself if I'm forced to wed that man.
I hadn't thought of that recourse. How splendid! Just die, and all your troubles will be ended. Oh, it maddens me to hear you speak in this self-pitying key.
How harsh you are, it's most unfair. You have no sympathy for my despair.
I have no sympathy for foolishness and those who meet a crisis with such weakness.
No wonder I'm timid. But would it be wrong?
True love needs a heart that's firm and strong.
But haven't I kept it free for my lover, whose task is to win me from my father?
What? If your father is a mad fanatic whose love for Tartuffe is completely lunatic and who opposes this match you're now bewailing, must your lover be damned for failing?
But am I to display how deeply I'm bitten? By rejecting Tartuffe, one whose love smitten? Am I, because of virile strength and beauty, to renounce my modesty and duty? Would you have me show my heart to all?
No. Clearly you want to be Mrs. Tartuffe. And I feel bound not to oppose a match that's so very sound. Who am I to criticize this match? Tartuffe, my dear, is a brilliant catch. Mr. Tartuffe. Now there's a man of weight. Mr. Tartuffe, I'm bound to state. His fame cannot be denied, and it will be an honor to be his bride. The world already rings of his renown. I hear he's a noble in his native town. His ears are red, and his wheatish complexion. All in all, he will suit you to perfection.
Dear God,
how triumphant you will feel at finding a husband so ideal.
Stop torturing me. Use your cleverness to get me out of this appalling mess. Advise me and I'll do whatever you say.
No. A dutiful daughter must obey her father, even if he is to wed her to an ape. And what are you complaining of? He will take you to his village, where he will introduce you to the town munsif's wife, and she will show you her greatest heirloom, a kitchen knife. And then she will pull out her charpoy and give you a nice matka of chai. Then Tartuffe will come, and he will take you to the village fair, where he will introduce you to the dancing bear.
You turn my blood to ice. Stop teasing me and use your advice, please.
No, I must go. Khuda, please.
No, Doreen, I beg of you.
No, you deserve it. This marriage must go through.
No, Doreen.
No.
Not Tartuffe, you know what I think.
No, Tartuffe will give you his lota of lassi. And before long, he will attack you. You'll see.
I've told you everything and relied.
No, you deserve to be Tartuffified.
Alright, since my faith no longer moves you, you may leave me alone and blue. Despair shall be my counselor and friend. Let me put my sorrows to an end.
Hey, Bhagwan! Endadi cheyina! My!
If I'm the one you crucify, you'll see, Doreen, how quickly I shall die.
Just chill. He'll give your father a bitter pill. There comes Valer, the king of your dil.
Madam, I just received some wondrous news regarding which I'd like to hear your views.
What news?
That you're marrying Tartuffe.
I find my father has such a match in mind.
Such a bother, your father.
Has altered his inclination through which all this has come to my attention.
Can he be serious?
Oh, indeed he can. He's clearly set his heart upon this plan.
And how does your heart respond to this plan, madam?
I don't know.
Ya Allah, you don't know.
No. What do you recommend?
I recommend that you accept this husband.
You recommend that?
Pinna?
Really?
Absolutely.
Very well. That's advice, sir, that I accept.
I doubt that taking it causes you regret.
No more regret than giving it causes you.
I gave it thinking it would please you.
And I'll take it simply to please you.
Let's see what these lovers are going to do.
So, I'm nothing to you. And it was flat deception when you...
Please, enough of that. You told me plainly that I should agree to marry the man my father's chosen for me. Since you advised me so wisely, I promise, sir, to do as you advised me.
No. It was not by me that you were swayed. No, your decision was already made.
Quite true and well said.
No doubt. And I now see you were never truly in love with me.
Alas, you're free to think so if you choose.
I choose to think so. And here's a bit of a news. You have spurned my hand, but I know where to turn for kinder treatment, as you shall quickly learn.
I'm sure you do. Your noble qualities inspire affection.
Forget my qualities, please. They don't inspire you too much, I find. But there is another lady I have in mind who will compensate me for the loss.
I'm no great loss, and I'm sure you'll transfer your heart quite painlessly from me to her.
I'll do my best to take in my stride the pain I feel at being cast aside. Time and forgetfulness may put an end to. Or if I can't forget, I shall pretend to. No self-respecting person is expected to go on loving once he's been rejected.
That's a fine high-minded sentiment.
One to which any sane man would assent. Would you prefer it if I pined away in hopeless passion till my dying day?
Poiko, don't hesitate. I want you to go. In fact, I cannot wait.
You want me to go?
Yes.
End the day, that's the final straw. Madam, worth it. Your wish shall be my law.
Splendid.
This breach, remember, is of your making. It's you who's driven me to the step I'm taking.
Of course.
And remember too, I am merely following your example.
I can see that clearly.
Appopote.
Oh,
You shall never see mother again.
excellent.
Inda?
What?
Upya.
Nana. Asada.
Well. I'm on my way. I shall not be back.
Go hit the sack.
Hasta la vista.
Koda pista.
I think perchance you've lost your mind to this extravagance. But I've only allowed you to go on this long to see what your folly might spawn. Stop there, Mr. Valet.
What do you want, Doreen?
Come here.
No. My heart's too full of spleen. Don't hold me back. Her wish must be obeyed.
Chup.
He hates the sight of me, that's plain. I'll go, so deliver him from
Now
me.
you don't run away. Come back.
No, nothing you say will keep me here. Let go.
She cannot bear my presence, I perceive. To spare her further torment, I shall leave.
Don't try to escape, sir. Don't you try it. Come back, both of you. Stop fussing and be quiet.
What do you want of me?
What do you wish to do?
To patch things up between you two. Now, weren't you silly to get overheated?
Didn't you see how badly I was treated?
Weren't you a simpleton to have lost your head?
Didn't you hear the hateful things he said?
You're both great fools. Her sole desire, Valer, is to be yours in marriage. To that I'll swear. And Marianne, he loves you and wants no wife but you. On that I'll stake my life.
Then why you advise me so? I cannot see.
On such a question, why ask advice of me?
Oh, you're impossible. Give me your hands. Yours first.
But why?
Now give me yours.
What are you doing?
There. A perfect fit. You love each other more than you'll admit.
Don't be so rude by the book. Give your lover a tender look.
Oh, I tell you, lovers are completely mad.
Now come confess that you are very bad. You have hurt my feelings as you did just now. I have the right to complain, you know.
You hurt me more than you know.
Oh, let's table this discussion for the present. Right now, your father has a plan that must be stopped.
Advise us then, what means must we adopt?
We'll use all manner of means, and all at once. Your father is adult, He's behaving like a dunce. What you need to do is humor the old fossil. Pretend to yield to him and be all sweet and docile. And then postpone as often as necessary the day on which you're meant to marry. We will thus gain time, and time will do the trick. On some days you will pretend to be sick. Or maybe a bad omen will cause you to change the day. You'll dream of muddy waters, or you'll pass a funeral procession, or you'll break a looking glass. In any case, no one can marry you unless you take his ring and say the words "I do." But for now, let's separate, or else they should find us talking here and our plot may be divined. Valet, go and tell your friends what has occurred. Urge them to make her father keep his word. I will stir her brother into action and get her mother Elmire to join our faction. Be off now.
Though each of us will do its best, it's your true heart on which my hope shall rest.
Regardless of what my father may decide, none but Valet shall claim me as his bride.
Oh, how those words content me. Come what?
Lovers, their tongues are never still. Be off now.
One last word.
Oh, what blather? You go off that way. And you, come with me.
If my fist quickly doesn't smash his face, may I live all my life in deep disgrace. May lightning strike me, should I tell a lie. May be flogged and beaten till I die.
Oh, for heaven's sake, control your displeasure. Your father has merely mentioned this measure.
No, I must put an end to his wild plot and tell my father what's what.
Rook, why don't you let your stepmother deal with him the way she does your father? Over Tartuffe, she has her own ways of making him welcome whatever she says. Right now, Tartuffe's servant Laurent is saying that he's upstairs praying and that he will be down after his meditation. So you be off now without vacillation.
No, I have every right to stay behind and protect her.
Oh, you've got to be kidding yourself. Be off now.
I won't, I know that I must stay.
Shh, I hear him coming. Go away now, go away.